Get rid of my lead screen. Now, yes, here we are, a few days out from Christmas, start of summer, and it's pissing down rain, overcast, and horrible. So, give you a quick look as I do. That's the bay over there. Miserable, miserable, miserable. That is the Melbourne weather. There's my boy on the couch, JJ. He's coming. Oh, he's back. Yesterday he wasn't happy with me because I gave him a bath. But now, there he is, back in his favourite mood, saying g'day. He always says his g'days. So he's a good boy. Mind you, I never knew when I first got him as a 40-kilogram German Shepherd, which he is now, that I was actually buying a cat. I mean, he seriously behaves like a cat at sometimes. The way he curls around your legs and curls up to you for some attention and protection. The thunder was going off before, and I was in the kitchen getting some brunch, and it's right around my ankles. If you haven't owned a German Shepherd, and I bumped into a few people that did, it's actually quite strange. I talked to a guy from a German Shepherd dog club on Friday night, because I took him, on Friday night, on Thursday night, where I took him out for a long walk. We just went and looked at all the Christmas lights, all that sort of thing. And I bumped into a lovely guy and his wife. And naturally, because I had the dog with me, they had some interest because he was part of a German Shepherd dog club. And he's telling me how much of a rarity it is now that people actually own German Shepherds. They're all going for these, Labradoodles and all that because they don't shed. He sheds like crazy. But, I think that's quite sad. The German, they might shed some fur a little bit, but the German Shepherds are just such a loyal breed and so smart. But so I don't think many people would understand when you're in, I've only got a tight kitchen, how difficult it can be to get your food and coffee together when you got a 40-kilogram German Shepherd in and out around your legs. But that would be, if I could ever video it, I'll have to do it one day because it's quite funny. So anyway, just an aside. Hope everyone's well on this wet and miserable day. Hopefully we're enjoying as best we can the festive season. At least it was good to have the cricket on the day and the Aussies winning the Ashes again. So I could sit back and enjoy that on the couch while following my ex account. That was my Sunday, just a lazy Sunday on the couch with the dog. And it was quite nice, actually. So caught up on all the ex gossip, watched the guys in the cricket. And yes, I know before anyone says they're all woke, but what sport isn't woke? So my simple solution to sport or movies or anything like that is just to ignore the woke side. And if it's enjoyable to watch it. Don't, be better than them. Rise above the woke left and any cancel culture. If there's an actor there that you don't like because of their politics, but you like their acting, well, okay, enjoy the movie. If there's a sportsman out there, you don't like their politics, but you admire their sporting potential, enjoy their sport. You don't have to share their politics to enjoy what they're very good at. And that could go for a bunch of things. Could be reading a book. The fact is a lot of sports people and a lot of people in the arts industry, so in movies, in theatre, in song, in writing books, they all lean left. So, but you can actually really enjoy their work still. So if we keep saying, well, I'm not going to follow him because I can't stand his politics, or I'm not going to follow her because I can't stand their politics, it'll be a pretty boring old world. So just do what I do, try and take out the bits you don't like. So, for example, Russell Crowe, he came out and said Albo is a great leader, but I still watched, Gladiator the other night and enjoyed it. So, Russell Crowe is an unbelievably good actor. His politics are shit. So be it. Good politicians might also be horrible actors. In fact, there's probably a good chance of that. So anyway, before I get into my rant too much, let's get on to our Charlie Kirk Bible read. Pretty appropriate considering they've got all the Amfest crap going on. We'll get into that in a minute. December 21st. We're back in the New Testament at last. The last week, for those who've been with me, been all Old Testament stuff. I do like the New Testament far more. Luke 1:26 through 37. Jesus' birth is announced. When Mary hears Gabriel's amazing news, she becomes frightened and concerned. but her obedience to God's will is complete. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to a town in Galilee named Nazareth. He had a message for a girl promised in marriage to a man named Joseph, who was a descendant of King David. The girl's name was Mary. The angel came to her and said, "Peace be with you. The Lord is with you and has greatly blessed you." Mary was deeply troubled by the angel's message, and she wondered what his words meant. The angel said to her, "Don't be afraid, Mary. God has been gracious to you. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High God. The Lord God will make him a king, as his ancestor David was, and he will be the king of descendants of Jacob forever. His kingdom will never end." Mary said to the angel, "I am a virgin. How then can this be?" The angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come on you, and God's power will rest upon you. For this reason, the Holy Child will be called the Son of God. Remember your relative Elizabeth. It is said that she cannot have children, but she herself is now 6 months pregnant, even though she is very old. For there is nothing that God cannot do." And from that announcement, the whole world changed. So I do find it quite interesting with our Protestant and evangelistic friends, Episcopalian or whatever, all the different breakaway groups from the Catholic Church, is they just won't acknowledge Mary as sort of the mother of God, or that she didn't have sin, all that sort of stuff. So, for example, I can't pronounce his name, Jack Prosobic, the Polish guy, is part of the Turning Point USA, came out into the Amfest stage carrying out the rosary, which I disagree with. But he would get a lot of criticism for doing that from the American evangelist clique, which is very powerful in America, because they don't recognize Mary as the way Catholics do, which I find very strange. I mean, I've prayed the rosary quite a number of times. I think any Catholic would have, especially if you're like me, as you've got older, you've got closer to your faith and God. I've got to get back into it. For a while there, I was praying it every day for quite some time. So I've gotten slack on it. I've got to get back into it for 2026. But I always found it a very cathartic sort of process, like none of you talking to you guys. It just allowed me 15 minutes of my day where it was just me, God, the rosary, and a bit of prayer and contemplation about life. And I shouldn't have let it go. I did, as a human being does, and I need to get back into it. But I just don't understand the opposition to it. Anything that brings you closer to God, I think, is a good thing, as long as it's legitimate. And I don't see how they can say the rosary of Mary is not legitimate. I mean, Mary carried the Son of God in her womb for 9 months. She was bearing the man who was going to perform miracles, bring back people from life, solve their illnesses, change the world. You'd think some holy stuff would have passed on to her through that DNA. I mean, if what you believe there, which we do as Catholics, is right, the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary with Jesus. That means Mary had the Holy Spirit's DNA. The Holy Spirit is a third body of God, so she's got God's DNA in her, no matter what you think. So anyway, it's an interesting debate. I think it's a bit of a silly one, but it is what it is, humans being humans. So on to the rant a little bit. Where do we start? There's a few things to rant about. So, which is kind of sad this close to Christmas, but it is what it is. Outside the weather. Oh, my flag's downstairs. Sorry, guys. I've been doing the, I just noticed in the background, my flag's not where it usually is because I've been doing my live streams from downstairs. So anyway, I think you know where my heart stands. What was I going to say? Yeah, talking of flags, they had their big, well, not so big rallies. I didn't see the Sydney one. I saw the Melbourne one. And I feel sorry for the organisers. Like I put in a tweet today, I think their heart's in the right place. I think it's commendable what they're trying to do. I just think it was poorly thought out. So for those who don't know, which it seems like most people don't by their turnout, is Monica Schmidt and Reignite Democracy organised a protest rally in Melbourne and Sydney today about last week's Bondi Beach massacre. One, I thought it was inappropriate. I just didn't think now was the time. Too many people are still in mourning, both Jewish and non-Jewish. Just Australians are in mourning about what happened, and they're angry. All right, but I just, one of the things that led to what I think many Australians believe led to that massacre was the Palestinian protests. So I just don't think it was smart on a number of fronts to have that protest, considering it was Palestinian protest that led to that violence. And there's a lot of people within politics and within society say, well, why are you doing another protest? Look what this led into. And it would put doubts in people's mind, especially in the Jewish community, about attending. There would be, I don't know, I haven't seen the Sydney one, but they picked a horrible day for the Melbourne one. Absolutely bucket. I was watching on Avi's live stream. 2 men and a dog were there. And I don't think it was just the rain. They're going to say, oh, well, the weather was the thing. I just don't think it was an appropriate thing to do. I mean, it's 4 days out from Christmas. We've just had a massacre. Everyone's a bit nervous about what's going to happen next. People probably aren't going to come out in public. And if you've got kids and family, why would you do that? I mean, just give it all time to settle down. Let everyone, there's people who've just buried their families. Give them time to mourn. Let's get through Christmas, get into the new year, and then bang, you can go for it. Australia Day is coming up. I mean, even, look, the March for Australia mob weren't dumb enough to start rallying their lot out on the streets. And I have huge issues with the MFA. But they were smart enough to keep away from this. And they're focusing on Australia Day, as is Scott Challen and his crew. So I think that would have been a far smarter thing to do. Let everyone go away for Christmas. Let everyone have their break. Let them get through New Year's and come back in the New Year's and start building up to Australia Day. And you've got so much. You're not going to get. They're lobbying to get Albo sacked and his government sacked. That's not going to happen. I mean, it's a lot of effort for something that's just not going to happen. I mean, the only person that can sack Albo is the governor general. She's not going to do it. The only way you're going to get rid of Albo, the only other way you get rid of Albo is if the ALP decide to remove him. And then, thanks to Kevin Rudd, there's processes you've got to go through to remove. It's not like the Liberals. They can't go in a party room and dismiss him. It goes, which I think is a good thing, a public vote of their membership, and which is what all political parties should go through. Your members should be deciding who your leader is and ultimately who your PM is. So, I mean, they just didn't think it out. And I'm going to sound harsh and people are going to get pissed off with me, but I just think this is a lot of the reignite democracy's weaknesses. I think their hearts are in the right place, but they leave themselves open for a lot of accusations, for like grifting. Do they organise these protests so they can sell merchandise? Are they trying to raise their profile? Is their heart, like I said, I think their hearts are in the right place on this one. I won't say it, all of them. Or are they trying to lift their political profile? A lot of people would make that argument. So they're an easy target. So I don't think it was a good idea to just do all this. You could have easily acknowledged it. I'll give you an example. I've put up, I don't know, I'm happy to show them to you, half a dozen tweets in the last week, and pretty angry tweets. I'm pissed off like everyone else is with what happened last Sunday. It's not the Australia I grew up in. But what gives me a lot of heart is like I've got one tweet that's got close to 100,000 likes and plenty of responses. It's had, what did I just say? Not 100,000 likes. 100,000 views with 11,000 likes. I wish it had 100,000 likes. Sorry. And I've had a bunch of others, that have had 25,000 views, 30,000 views, a couple of thousand likes, all this sort of thing. And, some people have come back to you about ratio. It doesn't matter. People have got an interest in what you're saying. And overwhelmingly, except for one, the feedback on it has been all good. So people are feeling like me. That's, a lot of people who follow me when you get 100,000 views, I've got 10,000 followers. So it's obviously getting retweeted and quoted and all that, and you're getting more people coming on to have a look. So that in itself can be powerful. In fact, more powerful than holding a protest. If there was 100 of us that could do that, and, Monica and Marcus, I don't know whether they're boyfriend or husband, wife, whatever. Marcus, I think it's Marcus Jonas. I could be wrong. Apologies if I am. They've got big followings on social media, so just go into that for the next 2 to 3 weeks before Australia Day. That's, if I'm giving them advice, that's the advice I would have given. But they won't listen to an old boomer like me. They've got to get it done their way, and away they go, which is fine. But what did you get today? You know, see, you by doing it, you're actually hurting your credibility. You know, so I just think sometimes they have brain farts, and then they go with that brain fart. And no matter what anyone would say, they'll stick to that brain fart. So I'll give you an example with this whole process with Monica. So look, they did amazing work during COVID. There's no denying that. But I get the impression that they, I'm trying to think of the word. I think with all this March for Australia stuff, they feel like it's been stolen off them. You know, so they used to organise all these protest marches along with others during COVID, and they got massive turnouts. Credit to them, and rightly so. I'm glad they did all that. But then you got March for Australia came out, and Monica got behind it. Now, me and many others were warning Monica because we'd seen it. I'd seen it in the build-up that the NSN were linked in with March for Australia. And despite our warnings, Monica initially came out against it. What happened then, I think, and I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty confident this is right, she then got a lot of pushback from the people that follow her. And they said, oh, we've got to be a part of this, we've got to be a part of this. They probably ripped into her. And she conceded. She goes, okay, well, I've got to get behind it. I was wrong. We got to get behind it. Now, at that point, I was applauding her for not getting behind it. But then when she did, I said, hold on. And others did. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm just sharing my example of it. Don't get involved. This is NSN. Oh, it doesn't matter if it's NSN. We've got to do something. You know, we've got to do something. We've got to come out and march against mass immigration. La-di-da-di-da. So all the predictions of me, plenty of others, that NSN would get involved and use these marches all came true. So Monica had to backtrack. She now was in a bit of an issue. She was wedged. She was getting pulled from both sides, in my belief. And so she thought, well, this is not the marches we wanted to organise, so we'll organise our own. That's the response. And all of a sudden, from that point, it's now a three-way battle between three groups about who can organise the best march for the centre right and against mass immigration, all that sort of thing. I just don't think we get anywhere with it. I just think it's like, if you've been, here comes my next sort of segue into it. If you've been watching the whole thing of this live streams, the Charlie Kirk Bible read, because as I said from day one, even before Charlie Kirk got assassinated, Charlie Kirk, despite his young age, had a big impact on me. When he got assassinated, I thought that's one of the saddest days I've ever seen. So that's why I started doing the Charlie Kirk Bible read. Okay. Yes, I'm a Christian. Yes, I believe in it. But and the Bible reading, though, from the book I read from, it was just a tribute towards Charlie and his faith. Now, if he was no longer around to do it, if more of us did something similar, that was my way of, I live in Australia. I'm half a globe away from America. I'm not a rich man. I've got no funds to contribute. So, but that was a way of me contributing back. All right. So that's why I've done these live streams. But over there now, since Charlie's death, the Turning Point USA and MAGA more generally, and the Republican Party or the conservative side, they're at each other's throats. It's crazy. I mean, they're going to lose the midterms over there, which is really, if you're an Aussie, goes, well, that's over in America. Well, America has a big impact on our politics and our policy and our future. So if Trump and the Republicans lose control of government over there, we're heading for a Gavin Newsom presidency. God help us, and God help us if he gets control of the Senate and the Congress over there. We'll be in a bit of trouble if that happens in the West. Really will. We were set up for 20 years of Trump-like Republican MAGA government, and they've screwed it up within 12 months, less than 12 months. So I'm really worried about it. I think they're in a bit of trouble, and I think this is what we're having evolve here. I don't know what it is with conservatives. We've then now got these three different march groups, and we've got different little minor parties and all that. For some reason, the right and the centre right just cannot get their shit together like the left does. Just don't understand why. I think we've got better values. I don't think it needs to be a massive argument. We all want freedoms of belief, freedom of speech, the ability to raise a family, get ahead in life, be able to own assets like cars and houses, and to be in a position when you're retired to enjoy your twilight years in life. And we're just getting away from all that. And to have strong borders and to build your culture, what has been built. All that, the left has just got control of so much. And when you see the polls now with all the young ones that predominantly support the ALP or the Greens. I had Scott tell me, Scott Challen, when we chatted, that I would be surprised about how many tradies are conservative-minded. Maybe not, but I'm starting to wonder, and you've got to be careful when you listen to polls, but it does seem overwhelmingly that Gen Z leans left big time. And that used to be a traditional thing. You'd start leaning left and then you become conservative, go towards the right, become conservative and lock in pretty hard. That's certainly a journey I took. But I did that pretty quickly. I probably voted in my first election for Bob Hawke. After that, it was pretty much, the Liberals until recently. And then the Liberals pissed me off. And now I just vote for the best person who reflects my values, which is David Limbrick, or has been state-wise. This way, David Limbrick and the Libertarians. Now I'm leaning One Nation because they're the ones really expressing my values, and I just don't see anywhere else. And the big reason, for example, I've gone off, and this would be, I'm going to invite him onto my podcast and just try and get an interview with him because I have massive respect for David Limbrick. I've argued a couple of times that he should be our premier. The Liberals should go into some sort of alliance and put him up as a neutral premier. Maybe they'd get somewhere. I don't know. I think we're well past it. I actually think Jess Wilson's doing a decent job, as much as it annoyed me the way she came to power. I think she's a Monty to be premier next year. Let's hope that works out. But I have massive respect for David Limbrick. And I would probably still be supporting the Libertarians. One, if David Limbrick hadn't have explained to me properly what a conservative is and what a libertarian is. So, David, that's on you. But then also to witness a fellow libertarian of David's, John Ruddick, walking across the Sydney Harbour Bridge with the pro-Palestinian lot. And David today got up and spoke pretty well against, those pro-Palestinian marches. And then he said, this is what my party stands against. And I'm going, hold on. Your party marched across Sydney Harbour Bridge with them. So which party are we talking about? Is it the Libertarian Party, the Victorian Libertarian Party, the New South Wales Libertarian Party? I'd like to get David on to talk about that, or even you, Jordan, if you ever watch this, Jordan Ditloff. I'd love to get you guys on and explain to me the differing standards within the Libertarian Party. And now I've got my thinking on that. I'd like to hear it. So it was interesting just listening to David. I felt for poor old David. As soon as he started talking, the heavens just opened up. It just belted down. So a tough old day for him. So like I said, I think the hearts are in the right place. I think it's commendable that they're trying to do something. I just don't think the thinking behind it's where it needs to be. And I think that's not just a knock on Reignite Democracy or Monica. I think that's the centre-right entirely. So we've got to find a way that's better and smarter. And the example was given to us by Donald Trump and MAGA in the last election and how they came to power. Not so much now, but, how they brought that coalition together, what they did on the podcast, how they used social media, how they got their voices out there, how they brought people together of different opinions behind Trump, especially after he got shot at. I'm not saying that should happen. But, yeah. I just think the centre right in 2026 has got to find a different way. I'm definitely hoping that someone like Hastie gets in charge of the Liberals. I think that'll be a big thing. I think the Conservatives are definitely a stronger factor now than they've been for ever since Abbott's days in the Liberal Party, which is heartening. Are they going to be perfect? No, but neither are One Nation. Neither is the Libertarians. No one's perfect. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And we definitely do that on the centre right. Anyway, that's my thoughts on today. I haven't seen the Sydney one. I'll have a look at that tonight. I'll be coming back. I'll be taking, obviously, a break on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. Christmas Day for obvious reasons. Boxing Days because I want to sit back and watch the test. You know, bit of tradition. And then get back into it not long after that. So, in this festive season, God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. God bless you. Look after yourself. God bless. I can't do it. I can't point at my flag like I usually do. I've left it downstairs. God bless our country, and let's get it back on track. Okay? We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.